What's going on, Legion? Azrael here, like always, and we're going to finish up with this press conference. It's actually funny because I literally was like, thanks for watching, later, click. What's going on? With not even a second went by. I just literally stopped it and started it, and that's really awesome. So let's just get into it, check it out, see what it's all about. It's pretty interesting to watch. Let's go.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
What's the first thing you do when you get off stage?
Water.
Well,
Maybe.
drink some water.
It's true.
That's
We
actually
do drink
probably
water
the
right
first thing, and then we just like meet in a hallway and talk with like 5 or 6 of our people about the show.
We have our road manager gives us water when we walk off stage. He's got water for us. And does he give you a towel?
I get a towel.
I don't get a towel.
But I also, well, I sweat more, and then I have confetti stuck to my back every night. So if we're standing for, I finally told him, because we'll stand for like 15 or 20 minutes in the hall talking about the show, and I'm like peeling confetti off my back, and also I'm still sweating. So I'm like, I should just like take care of this right away. And it took me a while to figure that out, but now I have a towel. I'll ask him for a towel for you too.
It's okay. I'll use yours when you're done with it.
Why don't you use it first? Because it's really not going to.
It's not. I don't sweat that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, the water actually I forget where it was, but there was a show that was almost perfect. Everything went right. I walked off stage like, yes. I was handed the water, opened it up, took a huge chug. Sparkling. Ruined the whole show that had just happened.
Yeah.
And we were so close to having a perfect show, and then all of a sudden I've got that just insane. I don't know. I like carbonated drinks, but I don't like sparkling water. You like sparkling water. You're into it.
I like any water.
There's water in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That's my wife always gives
Coca-Cola.
me, she doesn't like when I drink Red Bull. She's like, you need water. I'm like, there's a lot of water in Red Bull. If, my argument is if my body is like 80% water, whatever the stat is, then a can of Red Bull's got to be a lot of water.
Yeah.
It's got to be like 90 something.
Hopefully.
So we almost didn't have to have a meeting that day, but then we had one note.
Yep. Still not sparkling.
Yeah.
Ew.
So.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
She seems sweet.
Cameron, and then it'll be Donald.
What's up, guys?
Hi.
All right. Were there any classic rock stars that inspired you guys as a band?
No, we
Yeah.
watched a lot of concerts on whether there was a channel in my basement. I remember we watched a lot of different shows and pulled up stuff online. Yeah, I mean, bands like Muse and The Killers and Coldplay, like we watched them from afar. Never really went to. I did go to a Killer show, which was great. When you say classic rock star, it almost sounds like you're talking about like the 80s or something, and it's not.
AC/DC.
That doesn't really vibe with me, I guess. But, but yeah, no, I think that Josh and I were very. I don't know. We wanted to learn, and kind of growing up in the age where you could look up videos of other people putting on shows. We did a lot of homework. We dove in. We wanted to figure out what we wanted to do, how we wanted to come across. But
These
a
guys
lot
are
of times
such
it was what
Zoomers,
did we
man.
not want to do.
Jesus.
There's kind of a follow the
Coldplay?
leader that happens in music in general, specifically in a live show, where it's like, well, that's how you open a show, that's what you do in the middle of the show, that's how you close the show, that's how you act on stage, that's something you do in between songs. And a lot of times the reason why you do all those things is because it's been proven to work, to go to black in between songs. It makes sense. It kind of cleanses the audience's palate, like gets you ready for the next, introduction of the next song. But then there's other things like just the type of set list and what you can say to a crowd and how to treat them and how to interact with them and how much control you give them, that we felt like, we don't want to just do what everyone else is doing. We want to do what we feel like we would want to see if we were to go to a show. So it's a healthy balance of, adopting things we've seen, but also trying to do something different, something that we weren't seeing anyone else do.
But I think it started out us watching shows and we're like, oh, let's try and take notes and learn from people. And then when we would have conversations and like recap, a lot of it we found was just like, I wouldn't do that, or I don't really like that very much, or we should do something maybe like say something a little differently or whatever. And it kind of just turned into
The shit show.
things that we would maybe avoid, and then kind of like circled around, and it was like, oh, let's do it this way instead.
Right.
So I don't think we really necessarily set out to just be like, let's pick apart everybody the way that everybody does things. But yeah,
it's fun to be negative.
it's kind of easier.
It's kind of a blast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Cool.
you. All right, Donald. And then it'll be Monica.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, after your first big music paycheck, what was the first cool thing you bought yourself?
House?
I got a bank account.
Got to cash that check somehow.
First big thing?
Or first cool thing, your favorite thing?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I'm trying to remember.
I think the thing that felt the best, I didn't have like, I didn't really go to school, so I didn't have student loans, but I owed my dad a bunch of money, just because he covered for me a lot. I don't think either of us had like a lot of. It wasn't like an overwhelming amount of debt, but I do remember the moment where it was kind of just like, here you go, and it just kind of like covered everything that he had kind of helped me out with, and to me that was the biggest moment, I think, when I was kind of just clear. And it was, I think, a moment for him too, where he was like, oh, you've been just banging around the drums in my basement, and now it's done this. So it was a cool moment.
I actually, not to piggyback off that, but the student loan thing was a good moment for me as well. And with my wife too, being able to, I actually offered to. Neither of us had a lot of debt, but we were just dating at the time, and I knew I was going to marry her, and I knew that like this loan thing was just going to build, and having the opportunity to get rid of that was such a cool feeling, but also made me mad that you expect to hand cash into something and then get something out of it, when really a student loan situation where you're not using the education. Like, I went to school for 2.5 years in college, and obviously I'm not using any of it. What a waste of money. I did go about it as smart as I could, going to like a branch campus and trying to pay for it each class separately. I don't know, man. College is definitely important for a lot of people, especially if you know what you want to do and if what you want to do requires that. But it really weighed on me to walk into class the beginning of each quarter with a check and then hand the check over to the lady at the front desk who was probably raking it in. And sit down in class and then be taught stuff, and it's like, man, this just doesn't feel right for me. So when I was able to drop out, we were able to quit our jobs. All of a sudden, we were able to make money playing music. That was one of the things that, I don't know, was very rewarding. Almost like what Josh was saying, this thing that we thought was maybe just this dream, and we weren't sure how crazy we were coming across to people, especially our family, as we explained our dream to them. It wasn't like a told you so type of thing, like rubbing it in their face or anything, but it was, I don't know, a moment that felt validating.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. What was that conversation?
We bought validation.
Monica, and then it'll be Katie.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Like, what was the conversation? It's like, yep, we can make money being a band. What's up?
Hello.
Hi.
So describe the first moment you heard your song on the radio, and what song was it?
Please don't be car radio.
It was Holding On To You, right?
Oh, okay, that's a good one.
And it was, I think we heard that it was going to be on the radio, so we actually pulled up a website of that station that was streaming. So it wasn't actually like in a car.
Yeah, it
on
was
a
on
laptop.
a laptop.
But we were all playing a show. I forget which city it was. Do you remember which
It
city?
was somewhere in Michigan.
And we all gathered
college.
around in this tiny room and pulled up the laptop, and was it? I forget who. They said, like, "Here's a song," and I don't know. It was a really cool. What's funny about the radio, and not to downplay, obviously, radio, because here we are. But when you hear your song on the radio, because you don't know how many people are listening, the endless possibility just seems infinite to you. Like, there's probably 5 million people listening right now. It's not probably that much, but it feels like that especially. And so it was a moment that I won't forget. I can see the room. We were sitting in little, it was like booths or something, like weird chairs that we were sitting on listening to it.
I think I have a photo from when we were listening to it on my phone.
Okay.
Cool feeling.
Caitlin, and then it'll be Danielle.
Hey guys,
Hello.
Hi.
you guys look great.
Thank you.
So
You do too.
thank you. My question for you guys is, what comes first when you're writing? Is it the lyrics or the music that comes behind it? Which comes first?
I will say that it can be different. It can change. I think that any time that you hear me delivering a vocal in the style of rap, a lot of times it's because I've already written the lyrics, and I've kind of written a poem that has a kind of start and end to it. And I found that it was always tough to take a poem and fit it into a sing-songy melody, because you kind of don't realize how many syllables you're taking up while you're rapping or while you're writing a poem. And when you're singing something, obviously you're stretching that syllable out. So that's why I actually started rapping in the first place, was I had these poems that I wanted to get into these songs. So anytime you hear that style, it's usually the lyrics first. But a lot of times it starts with the music. Any other time usually is starting with either a chord progression or just a simple demo version of an idea of a drum pattern or something. So it can change.
All right, thanks guys.
Thanks. I think I found the video. I think I found the video of the radio station that played it when we were listening to
You
it.
found it when?
Just now, when you were answering that question.
You were on your phone while I was talking?
Yeah.
That's so rude, dude.
I've heard you answer that one before.
Yeah, it's true.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Danielle.
My
I used
eyes
to be
are
there,
so-
and now I'm here, and it's strange.
Yeah.
Could you build your favorite taco, each of you?
Yeah.
What did she say?
Strange.
My eyes
So
are so
rude,
heavy
dude.
right now.
I've heard you answer that one before.
Yeah, it's true.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Danielle. I used to be there, and now I'm here, and it's strange.
Yeah.
Could you build your favorite taco, each of you?
Yeah.
What would it be?
Yeah, we can.
Can you expand on that,
Okay.
please?
All right. Well, do you have taco gear?
Yeah. What do you want? Well, let's start at the base. Would you do a flour tortilla, or would you do a corn tortilla?
Flour,
Okay.
soft.
Pita bread, probably.
I actually had a hard taco last night. It wasn't that
Did you?
bad. But for a long time, I was very against them.
Number, s-
I
Yeah,
do
me
think
too.
that when you're making your own taco
number 6, nacho cheesesteak chalupa from Taco Bell.
or burrito, that you can mess up the ratio very quickly.
Yes.
I think that when you're selecting your meat or whatever your base is, whether it's rice and meat or just rice or just meat, whatever, you get really excited because you see this wide open space and you think, oh man, all this I can fill up with. That's where everything goes wrong. When you put too much of that base on, it doesn't leave room for everything else. And you have to you got to visualize that burrito being rolled, and you can't fill it with too much. You know, if you open up a burrito or a taco from somewhere professional, you'll see that's actually not a lot of meat, but it works. So don't overdo the meat or don't overdo the
Dude.
base, is my rule of thumb.
Chalupa, some of
You
those
just
people
get
are the
less
worst.
and less of each ingredient as you go.
Yeah.
Because you've put too much in.
Yeah, like you were looking forward to I know this is a polarizing one, but sour cream.
No, it's not polarizing at all.
I
It's
think
delicious.
it is. Does
Yeah.
anyone not
I mean,
like
there's
sour
a few
cream?
people who
Yeah.
quickly.
Usually if you don't like sour cream, you actually really, really don't like sour cream.
Yeah.
We just probably can't be friends. I enjoy it.
I start with the sour cream,
That's your base?
and then I roll up the.
Yep, and I
tortilla
use sour cream to tape the tortilla to itself when it's too large.
Oh.
It's a good trick. You just dip it in and it holds
See,
it together.
I'm a big believer in when you're building the taco or the burrito to leave space at one end. So don't evenly.
Because it'll all
Get-
fall out.
Well, what I'm saying is leave room for that extra fold at the end.
Right.
So your meat can start on one end, but don't take it all the way to the end.
Okay.
Your rice can start at one end, but don't take it all the way in.
Do you start at the same end?
Well, what I'm saying is you want all freedom on one end.
Okay.
All things free on one end so that you can kind of give that extra so that when you're holding it, you don't have to do one of these. And when you're done, having a bunch of stuff in your hand, you don't want that.
Thank you.
So it kind of is more of a burrito than a taco in that sense. Which
Even
is fine.
tacos. Even tacos.
Yeah, you can pinch
You
it
do the
off.
fold.
I do.
But isn't the difference between a taco and a burrito is that just one of them is open?
That's way too deep for me, man.
Thank you, guys.
And Chris R. will be our last question.
Hi.
Hey.
What's up? So how did it feel the first time you realized that your music was having a major impact on your fans?
Good.
Good.
Pretty standard feeling.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I think that a question like that obviously warrants a compassionate answer, which is the truth is that it changes you. You kind of always had a sneaking suspicion of how powerful music could be because of what it did to you. But then when you create music that impacts other people, I think that that's when you see the full scope of how powerful music really is. And we're lucky enough to get to see it from that side. And not everyone gets to. But other than that, pretty standard,
Yeah, man, I feel you. I feel you.
It's a normal
Everyday
feeling.
stuff.
Okay.
No big deal.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
I will say also that I think it's been good for us. I think to realize that there is responsibility. And it's kind of accountability as people to
So
just kind
tired.
of
My eyes are so heavy.
try and constantly make the right decision. And as humans, you don't always make the right decision, but to realize that there are people that can rely on us sometimes, I think is good perspective for us to keep.
That's awesome. Hashtag deep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys.
Machine Gun Kelly draws Harry Potter scar. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's that was fun. It sucks though that they're doing a lot of talking for me right now. And I don't care that they're like I like discussion stuff. I don't have to have the biggest, loudest things to I'm not always like when I watch movies. It doesn't need to be the action movies. I like movies that have some thought behind them. But I've only slept for like 4 hours, I guess, and so whenever I get to things that are like talking based and I haven't like fully slept, it makes my eyes real heavy. So apologies to that. But I still had genuine fun listening to what they were saying. My face just wasn't showing it. With that, I'm going to end it real quick. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. See whatever video I'm doing next. Later, guys.